If you have questions, please raise your virtual hand. You can just stay unmuted. I do want to apologize for our little snag. Thank you for the people that are patient. We maxed out at 100. We didn't foresee that happening. So that's, we miscalculated. So thanks to the people that waited to get in. And as you can tell, when I lose my agenda, I lose my mind. That's like my roadmap. And I messed up and just panicked because the agenda like disappeared. But we're gonna start with Steve. Your hand's up first.
Okay, I'm Stephen. I'm an addict. Actually, I was just going to ask you. I chatted to you if you could send me the PowerPoint for the notes so I can send it out.
Yep.
Can you do that?
Yep. So I'm going to actually just right now send it out to everyone. So I just pasted it in there. Sorry, it's a long garbled. If you're on a Mac, you should be able to open it. Or if not, you might have to type it out yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll put my email in.
So just
I'll put my email on there also.
Okay, so you copy that and then put it in your browser for anybody.
Yeah, and then
And what about HEP law stuff? How are you guys getting around that?
So every facility has their own comfort level, and some of them started with, you know, a total blackout and now have gone to turning on their video based on what I'm staying out of their outside issue stuff with that, but we make sure that we aren't recording our meetings, you know. We make sure that they're password protected, and that's why we also have a tech host there. So there's 2 panel leaders in case anyone gets in. We haven't had that issue yet because we don't advertise these IDs anywhere except direct email to the facility itself. And so we just tell the facility that we're doing everything we can, and some are comfortable and some are not. But I think as the need has grown to support the newcomer, they're figuring out how to get us in. Hope that answers it. I'm not sure of the legal part, to be honest.
Yourself asking questions. Next up is Bob, and you are unmuted.
Hi, it's Bob. I'm an addict. Thank you, Ashley, for your presentation. Great job. I guess my question, I've been working with regional chair or area chair up in Northern California, and it really was more along the lines of institutions and trying to see if there was any kind of guidelines or experiences in approaching the, you know, prisons or jails, especially on the area of clearance and the differences in clearance for a Zoom meeting versus walking into a facility, if there was any kind of challenge with the institutions, because, you know, institutions just don't let anybody come in. And if anybody had any experience or any guidelines that they could share on that topic, because I think it's a very useful tool and it might really help with some of our clearances and getting folks to be more engaged in the prison jail environment using a tool like this. But we're kind of looking for some experiences. So if anybody's got anything along those lines, that would be really helpful.
I see other people raising their hands. We haven't been able to get back into our 1 county jail that we serve because of their policies right now. So I've got nothing on that, unfortunately.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go through the hands I have. Bob, I'm writing your name down, and I'll come back to have you ask that or ask questions so it doesn't get lost in the mix. All right, next up is Tom K. from Santa Fe.
My name is Tom. I'm an addict. Thank you, Ashley. A few things. One is we learned how to share accounts by using the host pin feature of Zoom rather than having all the logon credentials. It's a little guide down at the bottom. I've probably got 40 meetings running on my 1 account now. And 5 of them are H&I at the jail. so I can tell you a little bit about what happened at a jail meeting. That we went in, we talked to the volunteer coordinator, who was our go-between with the warden, and we made a deal with him that only the people that already had clearance would be online. We'd password protect it to keep anybody, and we guard the password and all that. So we've been running for a month now, 5 meetings a week. We actually got more meetings than we had before when we went online. So that piece of it has been going actually quite well. The volunteer coordinator has to sit with the equipment and go around to each cell block and babysit the equipment the entire meeting. So it's under observation. And I have an agreement with him that, you know, after this has been going for a while, we might lift some restrictions, we might not. Right at the moment, it is only the same people who were already cleared. We went to the prison and tried to do this as well. I got permission from the warden, the director of prisons, and the state's attorney general to go in. I'd been working on it actually ahead of time on a different thing, and I hope to have a whole presentation at WSLD in October on all of how this went down. But they don't have internet in the prison here at all. Matter of fact, they have suppressions of it. So we went in with, they have a PBX system. There is a way to hook PBX to Zoom. I'm a retired telecommunications engineer, so I set that up. And then they shut it down and said, no, that's just too far deep into our security. So that one didn't happen, but they were quite willing. So getting the right permissions, starting with the chaplains, is a good way to get into the prisons. And my hope is over time to multiply this out where you've got multiple cell blocks at once listening to a message, maybe even multiple facilities, especially useful for some of the facilities that are like a day's drive one way. Anyway, one last thing, PR at NA.org, the WSC I've been checking out, really ask us to send anything in that we've done with H&I or PR to them. And I sent something in. They said I was the first one to send anything in, which means nobody else has. I know everybody, there's lots of other people that have meetings going. So you may want to let them know. That's PR@NA.org. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Next up is Robbie.
Hey everyone, this is really cool. Thank you. Somebody sent me this. I just got off our first H&I panel. We went into a detox facility that has rehab, long-term 6 months, drug court people, and then they have a rehab, and then they also have a detox section. So anyway, we went in for the first time there, but I just wanted to share that there was a few little kind of glitches with it. It went fine, but when I first presented it, they were like, oh, we're not sure. Like there were certain, like about HIPAA laws and things like that. So I did show them where it said that the Zoom is apparently officially HIPAA compliant, I guess is the word to say. And so I kind of just mentioned that. One of the facilities that we're doing, they create the Zoom account. They give us the code and we log on to the meeting. The panel logs on. It was the other way around, then they felt uncomfortable, so they open their own accounts, and then they give the panels the Zoom number for us to log on. So in a way, it's kind of like their responsibility. They're setting the privacy. They're doing the settings. It takes the responsibility off of the H&I panel. And I just simply mentioned to the one tonight when they were hesitant that it's only panel members. Like, in other words, for us, I'm from the New Jersey area, Monmouth, Central Jersey area, H&I subcommittee. And so for us, we have, like, you have to be 6 months or more clean to say anything, to speak, open your mouth at a panel. But you can join the panel from 90 days clean to 6, and then you can just sit and observe. So most of the panel members, they have to go to the subcommittee in order to join the panel and so on. So it's not just random, people that don't have, so the do's and don'ts and all that. So I explained that, and then she talked to the bosses, and the next thing you know, we went in tonight. So sometimes just a little clarity was helpful. And if there is a question, is there a difference? Like, how does a password, as far as an IT thing goes? Because if we're not advertising it, like even a regular meeting, we can't not put a password if it's password. But how does that even add another level if it's, in other words, it's like hitting a lottery. If somebody tries to push and just randomly touch the numbers in, and does the actual password, adding a password, give another level of security? I guess would be a question for somebody. And is it okay, Ashley, to email you and request that PowerPoint by email? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if you type it in the chat, I can just share it with you right now. I have it open on my screen, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone else. Regarding having a password if
It's kind of hard to hear you.
Yeah, Teo, are you talking?
Teo, we can't hear you.
how's that?
Teo,
There you go.
were you talking? Is there a question?
I was saying, do you want to answer that, Ashley, or do you want me to,
No, go
that
for it.
question about password? I was actually going to call on Danny if he's available.
Yeah, sure. So there are tools that hackers can use to do what's called war dialing, which is you can enumerate like the full range of Zoom IDs. So if you're in a situation where you can hand off a password to people and can't publish it publicly, or you can avoid publishing it publicly, then that adds an additional layer of security. However, in most NA use cases, you don't want to limit participation because you want addicts to come and go freely. So what winds up happening is that people post the password on the internet, and then people who are looking to attack, or as they call Zoom bomb meetings, the information's available there. You don't need a fancy war dialer. So it depends on the use case. Like for H&I, you may not publish that, so a password does add additional security. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, thank you. If anything, I guess that, are you saying that maybe by posting a password, not take H&I, just regular meeting, you may be encouraging the Zoom bombers to say, oh, there's a password, let's go at them, because they're posting.
Doesn't encourage them. Somebody that wants to Zoom bomb a meeting, they'll find a way to do it.
Right.
So, I mean, password doesn't really add anything to an NA meeting because you're publishing the password on the internet. So okay. It's there in plain text.
That makes sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. Jillian from Calgary, you're unmuted.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I was just wondering, so in Calgary here, I think we've got about 8 facilities, and only one of them has gotten back to us about going in for Zoom meetings, and that happens to be the panel that I am the panel leader for. And the feedback that I got from the one panel that we've done so far is that the clients at the facility found it really hard to engage. And so I was wondering if maybe the PowerPoint that you guys are showing helped with that engagement, and just any other ideas about engaging the clients, really.
Yeah, so definitely it's hard to do and to connect virtually, right? When we're there in real life. What I've noticed is when we did the panels in the dark, as I keep saying, right, like they could hear us and see us, but we couldn't hear and see them. Afterwards, we all felt kind of awkward, and it was like, well, hopefully someone heard something. But we still did our best anyway. Once they were able to turn their screen on and we could see them, and then we shared our slides with them, and they would actually come and sit in front of the camera and like read the readings off the screen and introduce themselves as an addict. And it changed the dynamic. And then also when we could hear them, right? Like if somebody on our panel happened to have a clean date birthday recently and they're like, oh, I just had 3 years clean, everyone's clapping and you can see it. So there's more of a back and forth. And we did get some really great questions about NA, about how to stay clean right now, about meeting access from the facilities where we could see each other, and not so much from the ones where we couldn't. So anytime, I think I would push in a respectful way for me on a facility that we have a relationship with, if they weren't quite willing to do the video, and just kind of explain how valuable it is to be able to see each other. But at the same time, you know, any panel is better than no panel. So
yeah, they do have video and audio, so we were able to see each other and that kind of thing. And so yeah, I think the PowerPoint idea might help engage too, with the readings and stuff right on the screen. Yeah, so I think I'll try that next Friday when I go. Thank you.
You're welcome. I know for me, when I was sharing, I made sure to say, like, this is a really special time to get clean. I mean, anytime we get clean is special, but those of you leaving treatment and can't go to your first meeting right now and you're going to hop on a Zoom meeting, you know, it's a different dynamic, and they are pretty much like it's a new frontier for getting clean. And that seemed to kind of connect, you know, just talking plainly and openly about how awkward this is for everybody. I think that they really identified with that too.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
For sure.
Okay, we're going to take one more question here and then we'll have to move on. If you want to ask your question to Ashley in the chat box. Also, if we have time at the end, we'll open it back up for anyone. I just don't know if we're going to get there with this many participants. So I'm going to call on Jonathan San Diego.
Yeah, Ashley, Jonathan, I know you said you'd be happy to send the email with everything in there, because I know our H&I panel has discussed this. Our H&I working group at the regional level has discussed this. I don't think they've moved forward with it because of issues, but if you could, I'll send you my email. If you could email me that information, that would be awesome, because I'll take it to the PR meeting we have Monday and say, okay, here's some information I got. Maybe it would help. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. So I put my email, I know the chat moves so fast. I am Ashley W, Seattle PI. So if you send me a private chat message, I'll share it with you. And someone else asked if I could share the whole folder to see what that looked like. My only hesitation is it has like all the contact information for our facilities and stuff, and I'm not sure if that's an issue. I actually would love what someone else thinks about that, because I don't like to make decisions like that alone, but that might be more of a like, send me an email and we can talk about how I set it up kind of thing.